Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and let me tell you what, there's no better thing for me to promote than to tell you about link to today, and the link to this will be in the very top of the description. When you go click on it, you tell them DAI sent you, and let me tell you why, folks. I was watching these Thinking Crypto videos this morning where he was interviewing Tom Emmer, and then he interviewed Hester Pierce, and let me tell you what. We have the video, we have the timeline, the facts are not in dispute, and these people have no other way out except the truth. The truth will set you free, and let me tell you what, Ripple is, I've never seen, I don't think I've ever in my life seen a company that's more in a pole position as a company with what, I mean, they're literally in the middle of a court case where the SEC, and by the way, if you hear a vacuum in the background, that's because you hear a vacuum in the background. There's people that are cleaning. They don't clean my office. I keep them out of my office. This is a sacred place in here where I talk to all of you. But they're out there and the vacuum's running. So let me see if I can run my train of thought here. So anyway, my point is, in telling you all that, is that if I'm Ripple's lawyers, I'm sitting there. Wait till I show you this stuff from Thinking Crypto. I'm sitting there, if I'm Ripple's lawyers, just laughing and shaking my head and saying, you morons, you came after us knowing all these skeletons that were buried in your closet and what you tried to pull off. That's some kind of arrogance. But the thing is, why wouldn't they have that kind of arrogance? Because the SEC as an organization has spent its whole lifespan being a bully and going after people, some that deserve it and some that don't, and in this case going after someone, and it looks like as a political weapon, folks. So what my point in saying all of that is, there's some Ripple equity on that link to platform. There's going to be a day, I believe, when this thing is over just like that, and that all of a sudden people are going to go, uh-oh, and then it's going to be too late, in my opinion. That's just me talking. But anyway, links in the top of the description. So, oh no, we had a pullback. Ooh, you know how many of days like this that I've been through since I got into this in 2013? Shoot, it's got to be into the hundreds at this point. And you know what I do? You know what I did this morning? I looked at this right here on coinpaprika.com, who's now one of my sponsors, by the way, coinpaprika.com. I'll put them at the front of this video because I like them better than CoinMarketCap and those others, because it's got all these different things I can do in here. And I was able to create my own list in here, and they've also got some really cool things coming too. But so this morning I saw these that were the most down, and so I bought more Theta, I bought more Quant, I bought more Cardano. Now I did Cardano on my Ledger Nano S. I literally went in there and bought Cardano right on my Ledger Nano S. I'm like into that now. That's my new thing. Okay, moving along. The market has pulled back. $550 million has been liquidated from cryptocurrency in the past 24 hours. I think this is because of the Fed saying that they're probably going to raise interest rates more. That's fine. I'm going to buy more dips then. It's not just crypto, it's the stock market too. I don't pay any attention to this short run stuff, but this guy tweeted something I agree with. Quant is more scarce than Bitcoin and has more utility. Changed my mind. And I said, true story, I just bought the Quant dip. Then there was this. This was from yesterday. I think this is what Vitalik Buterin had commented on, actually. There's apparently in Canada, I don't know if they've says if you live in the applicable province, net buy limits affect the net amount of crypto you can buy. So there's buy limits of certain cryptos in Canada. You can buy as much Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. Anything that's garbage, you can buy as much as you want. And I saw this, and when I saw it, I was like, now I know, folks, I know, because I've been studying this for years. And here's one thing I know. I know that pretty much, I mean, I've got Bitcoin and Ethereum on this list, but pretty much everything on this list I can tie to governments and things that are being used for infrastructure, tokenization of assets, CBDCs, or something in the much bigger picture. And the fact that we're looking at Canada allowing you to buy these, which I know, well, Bitcoin Cash you can use for money, okay, at the retail level, go in and buy things. Stores do that. Litecoin is a big nothing. Ethereum proof of work doesn't work, and there's all kinds of questions in the air about the transition. And Bitcoin is the most useless crypto in the world. Has less utility than any of them. That's why they created this store of value narrative. All it has is that it was first and that it's number one right now, which will change. And when it changes, a lot can change. So the fact that they're trying to steer all the sheep into those four en masse, especially against the backdrop of what we've seen Canada do in trying to steal people's money out of the bank accounts and all that, that tells me that I'm investing in the exact right things. I do have some Ethereum. I will accumulate some Bitcoin for short run type stuff if it goes lower. And I don't own any Litecoin, don't own any Bitcoin Cash, but I do own the infrastructure plays, and we'll continue to. Now, the official cool guy, it's Friday, he weighed in on Vitalik Buterin and all that. You got to see him talk.
Vitalik, did you short ETH at the top? No, I did sell ETH at the top.
70,000 ETH.
Vitalik, worry about your own war with the miners when this merge happens. Nothing can stop what is coming. XRP Ripple, we're the good guys.
There you go. Now, I had to do this. Remember Vitalik's comment yesterday? Looks like right here, XRP already lost their right to protection, which infers that he has protection, okay? Mafia type protection. So it reminded me of the time that Brad Garlinghouse and Joel Katz had met with Bill Hinman and Jay Clayton at the SEC, and Brad Garlinghouse had said Ripple's living in purgatory over the lack of clarity with XRP. And then Clayton had said basically, well, let's just talk about what you're doing as a company. Let's not talk about that issue right now. Let's table that. This is not the place for that. And so I told Brad Garlinghouse and Joel Katz, I hate to be the one to break it to you guys, but you visited the wrong SEC office when you met with Clayton and Hinman. You must have gone to the FinHub office where they collect information and then file enforcement actions. If you visited the Protection Hub, that where Vitalik Buterin and Joseph Lubin apparently went, you would have gotten you were a security, but now you're not. And don't worry about those other guys. We got this treatment. So they just must have gone to the wrong offices, all I can figure. Now, this is a clip of Thinking Crypto, and kudos to Thinking Crypto. I know these are uncomfortable questions, but these are the kind of questions, these are the kind of things that need to be addressed. And there's a couple of things to get out of this. Tom Emmer's pissed, and Tom Emmer and Hester Pierce are seeing everything that we're showing. And we have the video, we have the timeline, and the facts are not in dispute. Nobody has been, even the most arrogant Bitcoin maxi and Ethereum maxi have not even tried to dispute the facts because they know we got them. Watch this.
Congressman Emmer, there have been some information that has been released via FOIA requests from Empower Oversight, which is a nonprofit whistleblower organization, and even through the Ripple lawsuit around Ethereum and ethics violations, potential conflicts of interest with specifically Bill Hinman, who is no longer the SEC. And I don't want to say potential, because none of these things have been formally confirmed and so forth. And this has caused people to lose confidence in the SEC. And I don't know if you've seen it on social media, but there's hundreds of thousands.
Look at him laugh. He's seen it.
People very upset, and it's just getting kind of toxic. And
Well, this is what happened. Toxicity is what happens when your people lose faith in their government because their government appears to be extremely corrupt. This is what happened. Yeah, people tend to get toxic when they think their government has been corrupted.
They wanted me to ask you, can you call for an investigation into such potential conflicts of interest? And how do we get...
Well, before he answers this, the answer to this, yes, Tom Emmer can call for an investigation. He can call for an investigation every day of his life. This is part of the point I've been making. I know Tom Emmer is one of the good guys. I don't want you to get the wrong impression. I think that here's what I think. These guys like Tom Emmer, and this is my concern. It's always been my concern. I think that the Gary Genslers of the world are about as cutthroat and evil as it gets. And I think that a lot of these nice guys and good guys like Tom Emmer are playing nice while these other people are cutthroats. And at some point, you've got to get into the street fight. And that's my concern with not just with this thing, but with my country. That's my concern, is that you got one side that has really bad intentions and they're out street fighting. And then you got the other side who's playing nice and being very procedural and whatever. And at some point, you're going to have to get down in the trenches with them. And I hope it's not too late when these guys realize that.
The SEC to restore the confidence back in the public?
Well, first off, you're touching the edges of this, which I really appreciate, because you didn't ask it directly. But the issues that you're talking about, right, with the Ripple lawsuit, because they're related, we really can't. We shouldn't. I suppose I could, but we should not comment on the ongoing lawsuit. But
you know what this reminds me of? Remember in the Revolutionary War, the British they stayed in formation and they just kept staying in formation, and they had to march a certain way, and they had all these rules of war and all this, and the colonials. They got together as Minutemen, and they would hide in the trees and then just pick them apart. It was the only way that they could compete. Well, that's what I feel like we're facing here. You got these people that are in power that are trying to destroy crypto, and they're trying to destroy everything that would represent innovation in the U.S. and freedom for the people. And meanwhile, we got guys like Tom Emmer who are good guys, but they're marching in formation, and they're just letting these guys pick them off. Oh, yeah, we're going to win the election. We're thinking we're going to do it, and it's always something like that. That's my problem, is at some point you're going to have to break the formation, and you're going to have to go at these people the way they're going at it.
I would say to you that going back to what I brought up, the reality is right now Biden's regulators are acting lawlessly because Democrats in Congress who hold the gavels will not exercise their oversight responsibility over the very regulators they confirm. And so I will just emphasize again, Tony, when Republicans take back the majority, nothing will stop us from fulfilling our responsibility to act as a check on the executive branch. And I told this to Gary Gensler's enforcement director. A new day is coming. So those listeners, those that you work with that are wondering what we'll do.
He's talking to us.
That's about as direct as I want to get related to the specifics that you just brought up. We will be very aggressive in our oversight. And by the way, making sure that we hold them accountable once we confirm what we know they're doing. That's why I refer to it as the Wild West of regulators, the wild, wild west of regulation.
Well, I hope that they don't play the same old game where Gary Gensler just gets to quit his job and retire and go off into the sunset. I hope that guy gets held accountable like he's saying here, but I have a bad feeling that we get elected, then Gary Gensler just resigns and is never held accountable for everything he did. And that's what's destroyed this country, is because they've been just following the typical procedure, and then he's gone, and then that's that, and Nobody ever pays for the things they've done. And because of that, it keeps going and going and going, and they chip away and chip away and chip away at what this country used to be and what it was founded to be. That's the problem. At some point, these guys have to realize they are fighting against bad guys who I don't believe want good things for this country and might be compromised by somebody else. And you got to fight them. That's part of I'm pissed for my children. I'm pissed. And then you got Hester Pierce over here, who it's not that I don't think that she's one of the good guys, but at some point you can't do this. Well, we can't comment on that. No, at some point you got to draw the line. And she could stand up today and say, you know what? You're right, Tony. And I'll say it right now to Gary Gensler and all them. If you guys don't start doing the right thing, I'm going to stand up and I'll tell people what I do know. People start doing things when you start getting a little conviction behind you, because and people could say, oh well, it's her career, Well, guess what? What's your career worth when you're tainted with because that's what's happening. The more times now, oh well, we can't comment on that. Yeah, you can comment on it. Ethereum's not under investigation, or is it? Just tell us it's under investigation, and then okay, fine, it's under investigation. You can't comment. But until then, you can comment. See, this is more BS, but good for Tony for asking the freaking question.
I have to ask you some questions around Ethereum and one of your former colleagues, Bill Hinman, and this may be awkward, but I have to ask.
Oh yeah, it's
because
awkward.
There has been certain information released through the Ripple case, even FOIA requests from Empower Oversight, which is a nonprofit whistleblower organization. So there are sayings that the ethics department in the SEC warned Bill Hinman about conversations with Simpson Thatcher, who is part of the Ethereum Alliance. Bill Hinman gave a speech about Ethereum saying it's not a security. Jay Clayton, Commissioner Jackson, a bunch of folks endorsed that speech and have publicly referenced it as a kind of a standard.
Look at her face. She looks like she's in pain. Can you imagine? Have you ever thought about this? Can you imagine? Remember, Jay Clayton did not even copy her. She was one of the commissioners at the time. He didn't even copy her on the speech. You can imagine how pissed off that she was when she found that out. Now imagine how pissed off that she is at those jerks, Jay Clayton, Hinman, Gensler, and all of them, for putting her in this position. I mean, and I feel for her in that respect. I understand she's in a situation here, but at the same time, at some point, you got to take a stand. At some point, you can't just toe the line and all this business.
I don't know what you can say about this, but I want to get your thoughts. And the public is feeling a lack of confidence in the SEC.
They're losing confidence in the institutions of our government. At what point does anyone there say, you know what, that's a bigger problem than anything we got going on?
As a result of these details.
So FOIA requests come in all the time, and they're handled. We have rules and processes around the way they're handled, and so that these FOIA requests you're talking about will be handled according to those same rules and processes, and that's typically how people can get information about what agencies are doing. They use FOIA requests all the time.
Well, actually, she should caveat that with, and first we'll act like we can't find any information on what the request is on, and then then you'll have to sue us like Empower did, and then we'll say, oh, here, we did find it, because that's what happened.
Are you able to comment on any of the potential ethics concerns and potential conflicts of interest around?
I can't comment.
Okay.
Wow. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I do believe Hester Pierce is one of the good guys. But the problem is that at some point, somebody's got to take a freaking stand. And the only people I can see taking stands are John Deaton and the people out here in social media that just want a better life for their children. and don't understand why we have a government that's gone rogue, that does not look out for its people anymore and seems to look out more for China and freaking whoever else than this country and the people in this country.